Prusicking requires several pieces of Prusik cord. The cord I'm using is about a 6mm cord, which is probably what I'd recommend. Thin cords are easier to tie and grip better on the thin ropes. You'll need at least 2 Prusik cords. The waist Prusik cord, which I've got here, I hook it on my thumb. It comes to just past my elbow. You'll need a foot Prusik cord. This is a longer one. If I stand in the loop, it comes to about my belly button. And ideally, you'll also need a longer waist Prusik cord. Second one, a bit longer than the first one. In this case, it goes from my thumb just past my shoulder. In terms of choice of Prusik cord, it's worth looking for something that's not only the right thickness, but also fairly supple. So this orange cord that I have here is quite easy to tie, and it makes tying Prusik knots much easier. This cord here is a bit stiffer. You'll find that it will be hard to get the Prusik knot to cinch down on the rope with stiff cord like this. So it's worth visiting your climbing shop and feeling the suppleness of the cord that they have and choosing something that works nicely. Now, in order to make a Prusik cord, what I suggest you do is you start off with a piece of cord that's longer than what you need, and start off by putting a fisherman's knot in one end, or a stopper knot. Get the cord to about the length you need. Then I cut off about that much further past the knot to allow you to tie the other end of the knot. In this case, I've cut this one already, so I'm putting the other end, the fisherman's knot on the other end, and pulling it together tight. Now, this is the traditional knot that we use, a double fisherman's, but don't agonise over it. If you get stuck and you can't remember how to do this, a simple overhand knot will get you out of trouble. You can learn how to do the double fisherman's by going to websites like Animated Knots. So a simple overhand as that. Make sure it's dressed nicely, and that will certainly work well enough to get you out of trouble. And here's how I cut the cord. As I mentioned, I'll probably make the cord about that much longer than I need. This is a hot air knife, or a gas knife from Dremel. You can also just use a sharp knife, and when you've cut it, just put it over a gas flame or a match and try and melt the end over so it doesn't fray. These work quite well. They're similar to what you get in the climbing shops when they cut rope. So this is just going to cut it and seal the end for me nicely. Now, once I've got that end done, I'll just pull the knot back a little bit to give myself some space. Put in the other end of the fisherman's knot. I can adjust it to leave a little bit of tail. You don't need a huge amount, but some, because these things will be taking your full weight. And then you can pull it tight. The fisherman's knot, when done correctly, it should lean into one another and should look sort of symmetrical like that.